You out there, Terry? Oh, you're on mute, Terry.
That should be a little bit better.
There we go.
So Glenn, I know you are out there, so would you kind of wave your hand or say hi or everything so everybody can actually...
Sits waiting for demand needs to be filtered and what they call polished. Here's an image of what is a polishing system looks like and the control panel that communicates to the polishing system. It's important. 24-hour fuel filtration is key reliability. So the fuel's clean when they need it, and Mascot supplies and services these polishers. So I just didn't understand this till I met with Stu, but the industry of storing fuel is incredible. It's massive, it's huge. So for example, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the US Defense Department realized how vulnerable our precious naval fuel was stored as it was above ground tanks. So an engineering feat took place in Hawaii with elaborate Red Hills underground fuel pods and elaborate ventilation tunneling system was created. The Red Hills Naval Fuel Storage, located deep underground, Red Hills is a fuel storage facility, one of Hawaii's most audacious engineering feats. 20 reinforced concrete fuel tanks holding approximately 252 million gallons of diesel and jet fuel were built here as a fuel reserve for the military during World War II. The extent of Red Hills was a state secret from 1943 until the early 1990s when it was declassified. And here's a quick image of the tanks during construction. Again, 250 million gallons of diesel and fuel were stored in these. More than 20 of these pods were together. So again, the storing is huge, and this is just one little island in Hawaii. Can you still hear me okay? I heard some echoing.
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
We got it.
Thanks, Ted. So after talking to Stuart, it all starts with the Boy Scouts motto, be prepared. So for example, we talked about it. People in Texas are still without power and heat. I mean, Texas of all places. So you never know when or where this is going to happen. So the bottom line is simple. I mean, we kind of have an idea of what Stuart and his team does, but what they're doing is they're selling insurance. They're preparing for natural disasters. So their product, their knowledge, and top of the line equipment provides safety measures that when or if the big one hits, buildings like hospitals, data centers are going to be able to operate and serve the public as they're intended to do. Global catastrophes are things we are not to expect, but we must be prepared for them. And again, this is what Stuart does. And therefore, this is why they do what they do at Mascot Equipment. So in closing, here's a picture of Teddy, one of Stuart's grandkids, rocking the mascot beanie. If you haven't already, please take the time to meet Stuart one-on-one in an effort to get to know him better on a personal level, as well as getting to know and understand exactly what he does, because it's hard to cover it in a short little trade talk. But I hope this helped give you guys a better understanding. I enjoyed my conversation with Stuart. So thank you for your time. And let's give a big round of applause for member number 45, Stuart Troublehorn, with Mascot Equipment since 1960.
Nice. Thank you, Todd. And what a picture there. That was awesome. Stuart, welcome aboard. I know you're not new, but great to hear more about Mascot and what you guys can do. Okay, so I want to give Keith as much time as I know he deserves a lot more time on what he's going to be presenting to us today. And so if you do have to drop off, completely understand, but we don't want to shorten up Keith's presentation today. So we might go over a little bit today, but hang with us. But with that, I want to introduce Keith Sconier, who will be presenting on Who Will Save Your Life. Keith, it's all yours.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Let me see if I can fix this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Hello? Yes.
That's
okay.
perfect.
It's
Perfect. So when I was talking with Jennifer about getting the opportunity to speak with everyone here, I was like, what am I going to talk about? Now, I used to be the kid in class that had no problem figuring out what I was going to say. But when Jennifer said, hey, come talk to this organization, I was thinking that I would talk about, let's see if I can get this here. I figure I'd talk about success. I talk about relationships. I talk about goals. I talk about innovation. And then when I started looking through the roster, I was like, I didn't have to look far to really understand that this group has that covered. This group has some of the most successful organizations in Portland. It has people that have used and built great business relationships to get to where they are in their career. It has innovation. Some of the most innovative companies are in this group. Heartland Payment Systems, the company I used to work for, is one of the most innovative companies, even till this day, right? Let me see here. There's people that have used their goals to get to where they are. So the people in this group, probably you don't need help trying to figure out what your goals are or how you're going to accomplish them, right? So what I thought I would do is I would think a little bit about some of the other things that we're facing as a country and as individuals, because over the past year, 5 years, 10 years, um, we've been faced with a number of different issues, whether it be broken relationships, anger, suicide, racism, social unrest. Someone mentioned riots earlier today. Jennifer helps people build their, bring their marriages back together. We have politics where people are losing friends. People aren't talking to their parents. People aren't talking to their children because you voted for this person or you voted for that person. And so I thought that it would be appropriate for us to talk a little bit about this today so that maybe we could all get on track or have a different game plan moving forward for how we plan on attacking these issues. One of the things I often think about when I think about success and business and just life in general is that we've been to the moon and back. We've designed cars that don't need drivers. We've designed generators to keep businesses going, hospitals going, but we don't actually have a roadmap or a plan for tackling some of these issues that we're all facing today. And that is really revealing. My friend Missy is on the call today, and I wanted to have her on the call because she's a really good friend of mine. And she's, like most friends, invested in my success as an individual, but she's an incredible listener. The other day we were on the phone and we were talking, and she could sense that something was wrong with me. And so I would ask you, as you're building your relationships or whatever it is you're doing, whether you're building your business, building your company, can you sense in the voice of your employees, of your friends, of your parents that something is wrong? So today's agenda, we'll talk about who will save your life. We'll talk about this primary question everyone's been asking as they lay in bed at night. I'll tell you a little bit about my story. We'll talk about some laws of purpose, and we'll talk about the ultimate question. Here we go. So the primary question is, what can I do? Raise your hand if over the past couple of years, as businesses have been burned, as maybe, your kids have been going through a mental challenge, or if someone won't call you back, if you've wondered, what can I do? Has anyone else had that question in their head? Like, what can I do? I can vote. I can, I can put the sign on my business that says, Black Lives Matter. But for the most part, most of the people that I encounter, whether it's homelessness or any of the issues we have here, they're wondering, what can I do about racism? What can I do about homelessness? I hear people whose business has been affected by what downtown Portland looks like. What can I do about mental illness and divorce and social unrest and anger and division and suicide and broken relationships? And no one seems to really have the answer other than potentially, you know, looking to the people that designed our DMV to solve issues that are far more serious. And I don't know about you, but I'm not 100% confident that the people that are responsible for making sure our, you know, the DMV runs efficiently can actually, if they can't make that more efficient, if they can actually solve these issues that we're facing. I think that this is something that we all need to do differently, approach differently if we're going to solve it, or at least be able to change the tide. So, how do we get here? Before I talk a little bit about my story, I want to talk about previously, the previous slide, is why is that question a question to begin with? Why are we 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, and we still don't know what we need to do or what we can do to approach these situations from a position of power? I think it's because we were never raised to understand what our true value is and what our true impact on other people is. And so, therefore, we're stuck with the question of what can I do other than just vote and maybe complain. And so I think today is about understanding more about what your actual power is so that hopefully 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, we're not talking about the same thing. So, how did I get here? So, how did I get from being an at risk youth, expelled 7 times before my sophomore year in high school, uh, and a 1.3 GPA in high school as well, to a catalyst, storyteller, and entrepreneur? Well, I'll tell you my story. So, mom and dad never got married. I was raised in Fresno, California. Mom was a single mom up until the point that she found my stepfather and got married when I was in the first grade. We moved to the other side of town where it was safer where education was better. And by the end of my fourth grade year, I was actually taken from my mom and my stepdad by Child Protective Services and given to my dad, who wasn't really prepared to be a dad. I got exposed to homelessness. I got exposed to drugs. I got exposed to gangs. I got exposed to violence by the end of my sixth grade year. By the end of my eighth grade year, I'd been expelled 6 times. I got I set records. I got kicked out on the last day of sixth grade, eighth grade, and I got kicked out of high school within the first month of being a freshman in high school. I'm pretty sure I was the first person to get kicked out my freshman year of all the other freshmen. I'm an achiever. So what happened? So I'm living with my dad. I go through that situation of just being a at risk youth, and then I go and live with my grandmother. My dad goes off to what they call vacation, which is, in art, it's prison, right? He goes off to prison. I go live with my grandmother my freshman year, 1.3 GPA, playing around in class, disrespecting teachers. And a basketball coach approaches me and says, "Hey, kid, you could be a Division I athlete." And so I was saved by talent. This is my basketball coach here. This is Von Webb. He says, "Hey, kid, you could be a Division I athlete." Had no idea what a Division I school was. Had no interest in playing basketball. My dad was stepdad actually was really into sports, and I wasn't into sports because as most kids that have a step parent, they're not that interested in them. So whatever they're interested in, they're not interested in. I wasn't interested in playing basketball. But my biological father said, "Hey, kid, I'll give you $100 if you just try it." And so I joined the basketball team. So I joined the basketball team, and I go from joking in class, disrespecting teachers, cursing teachers out, getting kicked out 1 to 2 times a year, to doing my homework, respecting teachers, and paying attention in class. Several years later, I ended up getting a scholarship to come play basketball at Portland State University. This was the first time someone took their talent and invested it into me and painted a vision for what my life could be that wasn't based on them feeling sorry for me for my situation because I was an at-risk kid, but seeing something that was possible for me and painting a picture for what life could look like. So I went off to college and spent my first year to junior college at Irvine Valley College, came to Portland State my sophomore year, had a great year, and then I was heading home for the summer to go see my family. And so what happened on that trip is I fell asleep at the wheel in Modesto. I wanted to go see my grandmother, and everything in my $700 car, I had all my shoes, I had all my clothes, I had everything. I had everything I owned except for a few items that were in storage with a friend. I had everything in the car, all my brand new Jordans, my brand new Kobe Bryant jersey, everything. Timberland boots. John Helmer probably knows about Timberland boots. They're not a cheap boot, right? Um, and everything in that car burned. Everything I owned burned. Championship rings, you name it. And as I sat on the side of the freeway, I regained consciousness. I'm sitting in a chair, and the paramedics are asking me, hey kid, do you know what day it is? And I'm like, yeah, it's like September something. It's in the middle of like June or something, right? I had no idea what day it was. And I didn't know what happened other than someone saved me. Somebody took action and saved my life. Someone at the right time, right place, with the right attitude and the right heart took time out of their life and saved my life. That's what I didn't know. I didn't know what religion they were. I didn't know their skin color. I didn't know their sexuality. I didn't know their gender. I didn't know how much money they made. I didn't know where they worked at. I didn't know their position on politics. I didn't know who they were. And so from that situation, from being consumed by self, consumed with what I could achieve personally, I had a new outlook on life. My life couldn't be focused completely on just what I could do. I stopped taking things for granted, stopped taking my scholarship for granted. I started honoring relationships. One of the reasons why I started honoring relationships, how I did it, was that the reason why I really wanted to make it home that morning is I wanted to see my grandma. John says he wants to spend more time with his grandson. I can't tell you, and only John could probably tell you what it's been like to be in the older generation and not be able to see your grandchildren. It hurts deep, I'm sure, for so many grandparents to not be able to see their grandchildren because they're not sure if they'll get exposed to this deadly disease or this virus that we've been exposed to. So I was heading home to see my grandma. And the reason why my grandmother is so important is because when I lived with my grandmother in high school and I'd get kicked out of school, I'd sit on her couch. Now, my grandmother's right here behind me of my goals. Um, I'd get kicked out of school. I'd come home, and my grandmother, instead of disciplining me, she'd give me the room, tell me what I should be doing with my life, how I should be acting in class. She would tell me how stupid it was not pay attention in class because she knew I was smart. And my grandmother became my best friend. And in college, I would call my grandmother every night. She'd be up until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning watching CSI in the heat of the night or Perry Mason. Right. And she would say on those phone calls often, that kid, you make me. My grandmother didn't know was that I was thinking about quitting. I was thinking about saying the heck with basketball because it wasn't going the way I wanted it. Wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. I wasn't playing the role that I play. Because I made her proud, it gave me the courage to persevere. I was saved by a relationship. Oftentimes we think that everything else is more important. We think our product is sexy. We think our business name is sexy. We think that's what's going to make the difference. And we don't put as much value on the relationship as we could or as we should. And I believe that if we did, if we put the focus on the relationship and if we put as much energy into design, into relationships as we do designing, like going to the, like cars that drive themselves, like generators that keep buildings up and running, maybe we might not have so many people falling. And this brings me to the laws of purpose. Now, there's 5 laws of purpose that put together, but there's only 3 to share with you here today. The first one is the law of talent. Purpose, never just talent, maximize self and others. The question is, how are you using your talent to lift others in your family, business, communities that need it? Basketball coach used something he was confident in. He didn't go read a book and say, hey, how do I help this kid? He said, what am I good at? His gift was getting kids to college and to the professional level. He used his talent, invested it into my life to help me see a greater future for me. Many of you are looking at problems that we face and you're trying to become an expert in those problems instead of being an expert in what your gift is. Thinking strategically about how can you use your talent to make the place. The law of action. Law of action says purpose is manifested by unselfish action, alignment with core values. We've been taught to leave our emotions at home from work, leave our emotions at home, which is why 70 to 80% of people aren't engaged at work because they've left the most important aspect of who they are as a person. Will that save me from a burning vehicle? Action. What actions are you taking daily that align with your values? What impact are you having on your family? Or what impact is that having on your family, your staff, and your clients? It's not enough to think about it. You have to do something with it. The last law that I'll share today is the law of relationship. My grandmother's relationship is what motivates me today to do greater things with my life and to inspire others to do greater things with their life. And without that relationship, I wouldn't be motivated. Purpose is anchored and motivated by real, authentic relationships. So who do you want to be a hero to? What relationships are you fighting for? When you think about your organization or your clients or your friends, do you motivate them or do you demotivate them? When they leave the conversation with you, are they better off or do they believe less about themselves? Oops. That was not good. No. So the ultimate question is who will save your life? And the reality is that it isn't the right question. The question is whose life will you save? And the ultimate answer is don't concern yourself with who will save your life. Instead, invest your life by living your life in such a way that the use of your life lives your life. When you accomplish that mission, you don't save your life. You trade it in for a legacy. And that is the ultimate life. That's all I have for you today. My name is Keith Sconyers. This is my contact information if you'd like to stay in touch.
Wow, Keith,
Yay!
that was awesome. Thank you. And you nailed it on every slide. Gosh, your story, unbelievable. Definitely
Thanks.
what we strive for is walking away from these meetings with some value. And I think you gave us all something in that to take away to our families, to our work, to ourselves. So thank you. And you did
Thank
that
you for
all
having
in
me.
minutes, man. I can't imagine what you could do with a longer time. So gosh, first of all, Keith, thank you so much. I know you'll probably be hearing from some members And again, thank you so much for sharing. Todd Gather, great job on mascot equipment. That was a great job. I really appreciated that. Terry Barnes, thank you for the new member introduction on Glen Nold to Temple. And you guys all nailed that. Next week's Thursday meeting will be our one and only construction division program. Can't wait for this. There no pressure construction, but you've always been known for handing out a bunch of cash. So I hope you don't disappoint us all. And then, okay, so the word of the day, and I'm really close here. It's kind of a basic one, but I think there's so many different meanings of it, but I just want everyone to appreciate your family, appreciate your coworkers, appreciate your life. Just be happy where you are today. And then of course, which I have been doing all week, I've been appreciating having electricity. So I thank my lucky stars, and I feel for all those electricians out there that are going 24/7 and trying to get us all power back. So
generator.
yes, get a generator. And then my gift today, even though Helmer was a close second on his truck driver, I'm giving it to Kimberly Allen. I love that you're going to take your skills and add your value to other parts of the country, and the fact that you have a tree in your house right now. So you'll be getting a nice little gift from the association. So with that, have a great rest of the week and weekend, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. If you want to stay on, Keith, we'll just want to touch base about getting your materials.
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry if that felt rushed.
That's okay. Thanks, Bob. That was perfect.
Yeah, I just wanted to be sure you knew during the meeting that it was going to be a little
Yeah,
tight.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
when we do these in person, the meetings are not 90 minutes. So there's more time to spread out and for people to do long roll call, and everything's just more compressed. So great job. Jennifer, thank you so much for suggesting Keith. I think he was a great fit for the group.
Pleasure. He's awesome.
Yep. Todd, great job with your talk. And we will, Keith, we will get a copy of this. You want us to send you a copy of the tape as well? Or
Yes,
I know you said it was okay to send it out to members. Are you okay with us sending it out? Yeah.
Yes, as long as I get to try Adrienne's barbecue.
Yeah, I think we all want, we're all sending notes. It's like,
yeah, no, that's good.
You have 4 barbecues? I have 2.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get over there. Where you live at?
Yeah, Traeger and a gas grill. So she must have charcoal, and what else?
Hey,
Actually,
hey,
I guess we have a little wood burning pizza oven too. So, all right, good job, program chair.
It's all Jennifer here, but Keith, I got a friend, mentor of mine named Nee Shobo. He's actually he lives up in Camas, and he came to Portland State to play football. Mm-hmm. Are you connected with him at all?
Not directly connected. He and I have a mutual friend named Deshaun Fauntleroy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Sean.
Yeah.
Well, I have a call with him tomorrow, so I'll try to connect you guys. He's also
I'd love to connect with him. Yeah.
He's hopefully going to speak to us in the
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, no,
he and I are connected to him.
No, he's been a great mentor for me the last couple of years, and hopefully he'll come speak to us. But yeah, you have a similar story of freaking motivated people doing good work, and that's super cool.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
excellent. Thanks again for being here. I gotta go.
You too. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks again, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. You rock.
We'll talk soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, Keith.
Yep.
Bye.